Nyla is tidying the living room in Dandora Heights when Kato's tablet lights up. A glittering e-invite blooms on the screen. Private soiree for Kato and Zinel. Her chest tightens but her hands stay steady. She takes a screenshot, saves it, then opens the calendar link and copies the event code. She Googles the planner's name, taps through to a website, and finds a tiny footer line with a venue hint. Lumumba Gardens. She opens maps, pins the location, and zooms in until she can see the fountain and the ballroom entrance. She does not cry. She makes tea, sits at the dining table, and starts a list. What I know. What I can prove. What I will do. She checks Kato's usual excuses for late nights. She matches them to past charges on the shared card. Same area. Same dates. She reads the invite again and notes the time, the dress code, the theme. New beginnings. She smiles without joy. She takes a second screenshot, this time with the timestamp. She sends both to her cousin Amelie with a short text. Keep these safe. She wipes the tablet screen, returns it to the couch, and locks the front door. In her room she pulls out a plain notebook and writes Lumumba Gardens, Saturday, 9 p.m. She circles it. She lists the people she can trust and the one call that might change everything. She does not let the hurt speak. She lets the facts speak. If there is a party, she will be there. And she will not come empty-handed. Morning comes soft and gray when Nyla walks into Oeriko legal chambers with a neat bag and a calm face. She asks for public records like it is a normal errand. Property rolls. Company filings. Marital registries. She pays small fees, signs request slips, and sits in a quiet corner while printers hum. She reads line by line with a pen and sticky notes. She highlights Kato's name on a share certificate and then another name that keeps appearing beside it. Zinel Moyo. She notes land parcels listed under a shell company and cross-checks the addresses with the places Kato visited on those work trips. Every match is a small punch to the stomach, but her hand stays steady. A clerk in a worn cardigan drifts near her table and lowers her voice. She says many people come here to chase ghosts. She says the registry is only a mirror. Then she leans closer and whispers that their files show a legal marriage for one Zinel Namsa Moyo to a man named Bika Moyo in Bulawayo West, still active, no dissolution on record. The room seems to shift. Nyla asks for a certified copy. The clerk stamps it with a heavy red seal. Nyla takes a slow breath and feels the plan click into place like a lock finding its key. She steps outside to the street where Matatus Rattleby sits on a bench, and dials a number she found from a business directory linked to Bika's small transport company. A man answers with a tired hello. She speaks gently and gives her name. She says she believes they have a problem in common. She asks if he is Bika Moyo, husband to Zinel. He goes quiet, then says yes, that is his wife, although he has not seen her in months except on social media where she looks like a different person. Nyla tells him about the soiree invite. She tells him about the records and the stamp and the dates. She does not use any hard words. She only speaks the truth. Then she asks the question that changes the night to come. Mr. Moyo, would you like to meet your wife tonight? There is a long breath on the line, like a door opening. He asks where and when. Nyla says Lumumba Gardens at 9. She explains there will be witnesses. There will be proof. There will be calm. He says he will come with respect. Thank you, he adds, like a man who has been walking in fog and finally sees a light ahead. Nyla ends the call and files the certified copy in her bag like a blade she will not unsheath until the right moment. They ride up to Sekondi Ridge just after dawn, the air sharp and quiet, and Nyla feels the weight of what must be done steady in her chest. Amelie meets her at the gate with a small laptop bag and a calm smile, like someone who has done difficult things before. They sit at a wooden table in Amelie's kitchen and start like surgeons, careful, clean, precise. Amelie plugs in a drive and opens tools Nyla barely understands, and Nyla opens the folder where she has been saving bits and pieces, the glittering invite with its timestamp, the hotel reservations that match Kato's work trip days, screenshots of messages that suddenly stop when Kato says he is home, small bank transfers to unfamiliar accounts. Amelie shows her how to pull metadata from photos so the location stamps and camera times can't be argued away. They match the geotags to the hotel addresses and to the restaurant receipts. Where a message was deleted, Amelie recovers fragments from backups and puts them in order until the conversation reads like a thread. They print everything and lay it out on the floor like a map, marriage certificate stamped and current, the company share documents listing Zinnel's name, chat logs with dates, screenshots of flights, hotel confirmations, card charges on the nights in question, and photos with tiny, precise time stamps. Nyla types a short, clear statement about money she put into the house and the business. Amelie helps her turn it into a sworn, notarized affidavit and the local notary presses a seal that makes the paper official. They make 3 sets, one for the lawyer, one for the process server, and one to keep locked at Amelie's house. The lawyer writes clear, tight notices, a separation notice, the outline of possible criminal charges for bigamy or fraud, and a draft of an asset freeze request to file with the court at first light. A discreet process server arrives in an unmarked car and goes through the stacks with a practiced eye. He prepares 2 sealed envelopes with service papers and a short personal notice, the kind that will be handed over in public with witnesses. Nyla watches every stamp and signature like it is armor being forged. They make digital backups too, encrypted files on 2 drives and a password only Nyla and Amelie know, and Amelie creates a single, easy-to-open PDF timeline that any stranger can understand in minutes. It reads like proof, not like anger. By late afternoon, when the sun is low, the paperwork sits in a slim folder in Nyla's bag, the process server knows the plan and the time, and Amelie sets her phone to a silent alarm. They have done the quiet work, collected facts, built a timeline, notarized a statement, and put papers where they will cut through excuses. Nyla sleeps with the folder under her pillow that night, not because she wants to use it like a weapon, but because she wants the truth ready. If the party goes on as planned, the truth will have a seat at the table. The ballroom at Lumumba Gardens is a bright blur of fairy lights and moving shadows when Nyla and Bika step out of the car. Music thunders like a heartbeat and voices flow through the room, loud and careless. Kato is already at the front with a glass raised, smiling for the cameras, saying something about new beginnings as if the future were a neat promise. Tables are full, the buffet steam rises, and waiters weave like fish between guests. Zinnel appears on the staircase in a gold dress that catches every light. She moves with practiced ease, the kind of effortless confidence that makes people clap before they even know why. People notice her and turn their phones. Conversations bend toward her like small waves. Nyla feels the air for one clean moment and lets it settle. She has rehearsed nothing and everything. She walks in with Bika at her side. He is quiet, steady, and when he smiles it looks like a man seeing the sky clear after fog. The room changes in the span of 3 steps. Heads turn. A hush hits like a silence in a movie. Glasses pause halfway to mouths. Phones rise like a field of small mirrors. Nyla watches Kato's smile try to hold its shape and fail. For a second he looks the way men look when they realize a script has flipped. She walks to the center with no rush, because there is no reason to hurry. The band keeps playing, unaware, and the fairy lights keep blinking as if nothing has happened. Nyla raises a hand and the sound finds a thinner space in the room. She speaks, and her voice is calm and clear, small enough to be polite but loud enough to be heard. Before dessert, she says, a tiny clarification. She says the name the invite used, the name everyone has been repeating like it is a fact. Mrs. Moyo, she says, meet your husband. Bika steps forward and holds a paper that looks ordinary until you notice the red stamp. The gasp starts low and builds. Phones click. Someone trips on a chair. Kato's face goes a color and then another. Zinal's hand goes to her clutch, and you can see her thinking faster than anyone else in the room. Security straightens and looks toward the doorway. Guests edge back, shoes scrape, whispered questions bloom like sudden small fires. People lean to see the paper, to see the stamp, to see the man who has stood up. Cameras tilt, flashes blink. Some guests fold their arms and watch like they are waiting for an argument. Some lower their heads and look away. For Nyla the room is suddenly very clear. She is not shouting. She is not pleading. She is showing what she has. She lets that paper do the work her voice cannot. Around her, the party that was supposed to celebrate a new beginning has become a place where names and promises must answer to truth. The music still plays, but its rhythm has been broken. People whisper the word bigamy like it is a small stone thrown in a pond. Nyla holds the moment like someone holding a photograph steady so others can finally see it. Bika lets the paper drop onto the ice sculpture table like it is soft and heavy at once. For a second it looks absurd, a single sheet on carved ice, and then everyone sees the red stamp. Phones rise like a tide. Cameras begin to roll. Amelie moves through the crowd with a small grin and taps her phone to the nearest wrist. Airdrop chimes begin to pop on screens across the room. Guests look down and frown as PDFs and photos appear. Hotel check-ins. Time-stamped messages. Bank transfers. Flight confirmations. A clear timeline that fits together like pieces of a puzzle. The projector at the front that was showing a slideshow of happy pictures suddenly flickers and then blanks. Amelie, who has already set it up, presses play and the screen fills with exact times and places in big, plain text. You can see the hotel names, the minutes of check-in and check-out, the tiny transfers to unknown accounts. The sound of cutlery drops as people read. Kato opens his mouth and the shape of words comes out, but it is thin. He looks smaller than he did an hour ago. Zinal moves like someone reaching for a flame. She lunges toward the projector plug with the quickness of someone used to making things stop. A security man steps between her and the cable and holds her back. She presses her hands against him and for a moment she looks furious and scared. The room splits into two kinds of noise. One side is stunned silence like a held breath. The other side is a low, savage whisper that builds into questions. Why? When? Who knew? Phones keep recording. Clips are already being sent to messaging groups. A guest who works for a small online channel leans forward and shouts the live handle into their phone so the clip can be streamed. Someone else starts typing a caption. The air tastes like electricity. The process server, who has been waiting at the edge of the hall, steps forward and hands Kato a sealed envelope. It is quiet enough now to hear the paper rustle. The server reads the header aloud in a voice that is small but exact. Separation notice. Possible criminal complaint. Asset freeze request. You can hear a woman near the back gasp and cover her mouth. Kato grabs the envelope and his hands shake. He looks at Zinal and then at Bika and then at the faces watching him. On the screen a transfer flashes again, a number and a date, and the room makes a single sound that is part laugh and part sob. Cameras keep rolling because they must. People will want a copy. People will want to check the timestamps for themselves. Nyla stands very still with her arms folded. She is not triumphant. She is not celebratory. She is quiet and present. The proof has done the speaking for her. Around them, the party that was meant to hide a life becomes the place where that life is laid bare under light, under lenses, and under the clear reading of hard numbers. The room has gone quiet enough to hear shoes on marble when the process server steps forward, a plain man with a slim leather folder, and he speaks in a voice that makes even the band stop mid-note. He reads the papers out loud, one by one, so there is no mistake. First, a formal separation notice naming Kato and listing the grounds and the dates. Then a document that outlines possible criminal complaints against Zinal, including bigamy and fraud, explained in plain language so any guest can understand the charges and what they mean. Last, a preliminary request for an asset freeze, stamped and addressed for filing with the Kasanga District Court at first light tomorrow. The words feel huge in the bright room. Kato's hand trembles as he reaches for the envelope and the faces around him shift from amusement to sharp attention. Nyla steps forward slowly with a paper in her hand and a voice that is quiet but steady. She reads a short statement she wrote the week before, clear and simple. She says she put money into the house, into the company, and into the projects that kept his name on the door. She names the amounts without flourish and says she has the records. Then she lays down a set of audited ledgers on the small table by the projector. The ledgers are neat piles of numbers and stamps and signatures. They show the dates of transfers, the accounts, and the business entries. She points to the entries that match the bank transfers now on every phone in the room. Amelie moves through the crowd and presses copies into the hands of reporters and guests so everyone can read the same page at once. A lawyer in the front row speaks up and summarizes the legal steps that follow, how to serve papers properly, timelines for a criminal complaint, and how an asset freeze works while a judge reviews the request in Kasanga District. The legal words are heavy, but Nyla keeps speaking in straight sentences. She says she is not asking for revenge. She says she wants fairness, a clear accounting, and the right to protect the home and the work she built. She asks the court to consider the asset freeze and to set a date for urgent hearing in the morning. Around her, people murmur and phones keep recording. Kato's smile has fallen away and Zinel avoids looking at the stamped papers. Guests shuffle as if waking from a dream. The process server asks if anyone will accept service here and now, and hands are raised. A security guard signs. The papers are delivered and a legal clock starts ticking. Nyla folds her hands once, breathes out, and the room understands that this is not the end of a story but the start of a record that can be checked, copied, and used in a courtroom. By dawn the city already felt different. Clips from the party moved faster than the morning traffic and landed on feeds before the sun was fully up. Ntwapa Live and Adoja Pulse showed the same shot, the paper on the ice, the stamp, the projector with times and transfers, and people who had been at the party recognized themselves in the background. Within hours sponsors began to call their teams. Deals that had been quiet suddenly became questions. A few paused their support for Kato while legal teams checked contracts and clauses. Zinel's carefully built real estate brand lost its shine in a single morning. Clients who had only seen glossy photos began to dig into reviews and found stories that did not line up with the advertisements. Calls went unanswered. Meetings were postponed. Bika filed papers asking for damages because he had been living a life that the public had only seen in pieces, and he wanted the record set straight. News anchors used the phrase bigamy like a headline and the word trended. Soon #invite the truth filled timelines with posts that were part outrage and part solidarity. Women shared receipts and screenshots not to shame but to warn. They wrote short notes about what evidence looked like, how to make copies, and how to get affidavits. Lawyers on live streams offered simple steps and promised pro bono clinics for anyone who needed help with separation notices or asset protection. Community groups set up hotlines and volunteers answered messages with calm, direct advice. Small businesses that Nyla had helped by referral reached out to ask how they could support her case and offered to testify about her work. Influencers debated the ethics of public confrontations, while others said the truth had to be visible if the law was going to follow. Overnight, the story moved from gossip to procedure. Courts in Kasanga and Tanga saw filings and the morning docket filled with requests for temporary orders. Reporters called for paperwork and accountants began to sort through ledgers. Some people who had enjoyed the party spoke to reporters and admitted they had suspected something but did not know how to act. Others defended Kato and Zinel, saying people make mistakes and relationships are complicated. Through it all Nyla continued to move with the same calm she had shown that night. She answered a few questions, refused to perform for cameras, and let the documents do the talking. The public reaction did not fix everything, and legal work would take time, but the immediate shift was real. What had been private and hidden became part of public record. What had been a glossy invitation became a turning point. Conversations about consent, honesty, and money at home changed from whispers to plans. The hashtag was not just a slogan. It was a way for people to find each other, compare notes, and begin to protect what mattered. The courthouse at Tanga High is bright and serious the morning Nyla walks in, files in a slim folder and a steady look on her face. She listens as lawyers speak in plain terms, and she answers with short clear facts about who paid for the house and who ran the business. The judge reads the papers, looks at the stamped certificates, and asks one quiet question about safety. By midday the judge signs orders that change the map of her life for now. Nyla gets primary residence so the children and house stay with her while the court sorts the rest. The judge grants control of the marital bank accounts and business assets on a temporary basis so money cannot be moved while lawyers check the ledgers. A restraining order is issued so Cato must stay away from the home and from contacting her. There is no dramatic speech from Nyla in the courtroom. She simply hands copies of the orders to her lawyer, breathes out, and walks back into the light. A week later she returns to Lumumba Gardens, but this time there is no hidden trap in her hand. She holds an invite that reads women entrepreneurs only, and the room fills with quiet power instead of lies. Tables are full of women who run small shops, tech startups, farms, and craft businesses. They talk about invoices, contracts, and how to build credit. Nyla speaks about the ledger that saved her, and she asks a few lawyers in the room to explain simple steps everyone can take to protect their work. Phones are out but there is no whisper of scandal. There is talk of mentorship and shared resources. Before the night ends Nyla stands, looks at the crowd, and says what she has learned in a sentence that is both a warning and an offer. If you plan a party with my humiliation on the menu, expect me to arrive with the guest list. You forgot the truth.